Hello, welcome to Season 5 of How to Play D&D, the explainer podcast where one experienced dungeon master and one failed scriptwriter discuss D&D topics. My name is Connor Kinsey and my illustrious guest this week is Sam Pay. Hello, Sam.
Hello.
I'm
the good.
Yeah, you are the good.
I'm doing
He is
the good.
He's doing the good, he is the good. Yeah,
Yes.
Nice. Okay, wow. We're dressed the same as the last time you saw us because we record them back to back, but this is probably around 12 weeks later.
Wow,
So yeah,
I'm going to have completely
magic.
different hair by the time that this one airs.
100%.
Holy smokes.
I won't look the same. Okay, this season we are doing things slightly different. Our guests have selected an enemy from a list that I've supplied, and they're going to educate us as to why we should use these creatures. And of course, I will interrogate. What enemy did you pick to sell to me today?
I picked everyone's favourite, the most beloved monster from D&D, the juicy, sexy Mind Flayer.
Let's get to it. Okay, so today's episode is on Mind Flayers. Mind Flayers, Gary Gygax's answer to hentai with heart. Sam, I've replaced my eyes with D20s in the hopes to see critical success in my own life. Why am I poor? Why is there a lot of blood? What am I doing?
The trick is you've got to roll the D20s.
Beforehand.
No, just
Oh.
like generally. You've got to roll the D20 before you do a thing. If you keep them in your eyes, they can't roll.
Yeah, it's like little like love pockets.
Love pockets? Oh
Yeah.
no.
All right, to the real questions.
Yes.
Why did you pick Mind Flayers?
They're a tricky monster to run.
Okay.
I'm a humongous...
So obviously,
yes,
you love them.
I love them. I think you can really bugger up using Mind Flayers in your game, but when they are done right, they are incredibly satisfying.
Okay.
In the campaign that I'm running at the minute with my partner, my solo campaign with them, one of our big bads is a Mind Flayer, and we consistently talk about how bonkers they are as a character and how much fun it is whenever they show up. So I'm like, hey, here's how you can choose to do Mind Flayer if you want to do it.
Nice. Okay. All right. What kind of stats does a Mind Flayer have?
Here's the thing, mostly kind of bad stats.
All right, okay.
So a Mind Flayer is going to be your bog standard monster manual, here he is a CR8 or CR9 monster, which you would go, wow, this is a guy who's a heavy hitter, you shouldn't be throwing this guy at level 1 characters, and then you see that he has 71 hit points, which if you flip the page over, Minotaur, right there, CR3 monster, 76 hit points.
I love how you just know.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I read through the monster manual in my sleep. It's a juicy book. But yeah, it's a really like... It's a classic criticism of the CR system.
Yeah.
Where, okay, well, why are Mind Flayers rated so highly if they've got such poor hit points? They've got relatively low AC, and the idea is that it's the way that you're supposed to role play them as a spellcaster that makes them really dangerous. That being said, if you are actually playing a balanced encounter with a Mind Flayer as a villain against your party, it's never gonna pan out as impressive. Yeah, we can get into that a little bit more, but they're like a cerebral character. They're intelligent, they're smart. I think the line that often gets used is that a Mind Flayer should be as intelligent as the DM is, know everything the DM knows, and that works to an extent until a level 6 paladin divine smites them, and they don't exist anymore. It's like, oh, okay.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
Well, if there's a Mind Flayer in my session, it'd be pretty fucking dumb. So there's always that as well.
Well, that is
Something
true.
to think about. Yeah, you're not meant to agree.
You have to be
He's as smart as your DM. Yeah.
I am also a bit. I have to be manipulative as a DM to come off as smart because actual strategy, no.
No, none whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
How does a DM use a Mind Flayer in their game?
Well, there's a lot of I think there are two schools of thought for using a Mind Flayer. If you want to use the Mind Flayer in the more traditional sense, if you want to make the encounters fair and feel heroic, in just your kind of bland run-of-the-mill, you're fighting stuff, usually Mind Flayers are going to probably be like the underlings for something bigger, actually, which is not what any of the flavor text will tell you. Again, it's a result of them being relatively weak spellcasters to fight. They're usually good sidekicks to a bigger villain. So, I mean, there's the Elder Brain idea, which anyone who's played Baldur's Gate 3 will know about Elder Brains. There's also Mind Flayer dragons, which are like, they've got like all kinds of stuff going on. They can breathe tadpoles. Those are, again, if you've got a Mind Flayer, you could have a group of Mind Flayers who worship these guys or work for these guys or whatever. And that's a perfectly fine way of doing it, of having them as like powerful sidekicks or goons for a bigger bad. I personally subscribe to the idea that Mind Flayers should only... I think you should have one Mind Flayer per campaign. Mm-hmm. That should be a big, important guy. You shouldn't have more than one. And that character should be interacting with low-level characters. I don't think there's anything scarier than being a level 2 character, wandering through the Underdark for the first time, and having a Mind Flayer cast hallucinatory terrain on you so that you no longer know how to get out of the cave you're in, and it starts mind blasting you. At this point, we're playing in a space of horror, of eldritch horror, of really actually being outmatched, which, if you look at the inspirations behind Mind Flayer, the Cthulhu mythos, Lovecraftian horror, it's kind of where we're supposed to be with these monsters. Like a Mind Flayer is supposed to be scary. If you find a Mind Flayer at level 9, it's not scary. If you find a Mind Flayer at level 1, it is terrifying. Your players will run. And so I think you should use Mind Flayers as horror enemies. There's a couple of things you can do there to help it so that it's not just a slaughter fest for your players, but we can go into that a little bit further.
Okay, all right. Well, feel free to, because I will ask you the next question.
Yes.
Maybe you go into it here. Can you give an example of when you used or encountered one?
Yes.
So maybe with that.
So, as you will know, I'm a big fan of random encounters. Humongous fan. I love my improv. I love plucking things out of my ass.
He does. I've watched him do it in Magaluf.
Did it before this recording.
It's true. Yeah, he had to. He couldn't record otherwise.
No, that's where the microphone came from. So it was literally the scenario described there. We had 2 player characters going through the Underdark on their way between locations. Roll the random encounter, and the player rolled, I think, something like an 80, which is a Mind Flayer Arcanist. CR9, nasty, nasty spellcaster for what was, I believe, a level 3 or 4 character at the time. That is a death sentence. It just absolutely is. So when you're playing that encounter, you've got to play it fair. You've got to acknowledge the fact that if you wanted to as a DM, you could kill that person. What are you trying to do with this creature? Are you just trying to kill the character? No, that's not fun. What you're trying to do is scare the living shit out of them. So the example that I gave there was classic. They wandered into the Underdark, stumbled upon this like strange cave that the walls were slick and wet. The ground was like weird and smooth. There were strange like markings all over the walls, and that's like the kind of tantalizing. Oh, let's go explore. And they're exploring through, and then they turn a corner, and they're behind one of these like stone pillars is a Mind Flayer, like in some kind of like sleep state that they awaken, and now the characters have to run. Hallucinatory terrain was the spell that you used, because again, Mind Blast will kill these characters immediately. You don't want to do that. You want to make them feel like they're up against a challenge and they're kind of being toyed with. Like that's the idea, I think, with the Mind Flayer. It's like, oh, I am so vastly more powerful than you are, so otherworldly is my logic that I'm just going to bat you about like a cat with a mouse.
What would I get out of killing you?
Yeah,
it makes more sense to play
with
around
because I can harvest your brain in a minute or two. I'm gonna make this a bit tantalizing. So literally cast hallucinatory terrain to hide all the exits, and you flavor that not as in you see illusion magic, but the guy waves his hand. This Mind Flayer waves his hand, and you watch as the ground melts. That way the player doesn't know if this is illusion magic, doesn't know if this thing has like geomancy or something, just goes, oh, I'm in a cave, I've stumbled on this thing that I wasn't expecting to, and then after that, the world has turned on its head a little bit. And then, hallucinatory terrain has its rules where you can roll insight or investigation checks to pass through it, and then the fun of that encounter really became, how do we escape this thing that is doing like 30 damage a hit on us? How do we escape this space as quickly as possible? Oh, investigation check. Oh, I can tell now that this stone wall in front of me is actually a hallucination. And I plunge through it and I'm out on the other side and safe. It was a wonderful encounter, and it really cemented that Mind Flayer in escaping from as a villain for the rest of the campaign. And he has showed up every single chapter since to harass the players and go,
nice.
I'm here to get you.
Yeah, go get.
Great. Yeah.
when this isn't a question on there, we've actually already got one question left already. These are fast. These are fast.
Very fast.
Yeah. When was the first time you encountered a Mind Flayer?
I didn't first encounter a Mind Flayer. I first encountered an Alhoon, which is the undead variation of a Mind Flayer. For the audience at home, these are guys who have phylacteried themselves up as they've separated themselves away from an Elder Brain hive mind.
Yeah.
So they're usually little covens of weirdos. And it was a mostly Curse of Strahd campaign, but he threw some Alhoons in there every now and again to keep them spicy. As playing a Zealot Barbarian in that game, I was buggered. There was literally nothing I could, even at a higher level, like just the psychic damage and the fear that was keeping you away, did its job. But we were level like 6 or 7 at the time of encountering them. So even a group of Alhoons were like, it was fun. But from a player point of view, it wasn't scary. They were quite easy to dispatch. It was more frustrating, and I think that was the issue for me as a barbarian. Was I was like, I'm just getting spam frightened at the moment.
That's a good tactic though. That you can't just go in and guns blazing as that. It's irritating for you for your character, but then that's probably why the DMs put them in, right? Is to kind of go and make you think how you go about this in a different way. Interesting thing you said earlier about. Using the Mind Flayer possibly as, a bit like a guard dog or like a henchman or as a group instead of the main. I think from doing this podcast and doing this enemy season, what we've kind of gathered of people selecting these creatures, most of the most famous creatures you come across where you go, oh shit, it's a Mind Flayer, I've not played against one before, you think it's going to be big and scary because they're everywhere, right? They're the logo on everything. Yeah. But they often are better as a support
they
force.
Really are.
They're
really
iconic, and that in itself is like the fear of coming up against one. But that's not actually the thing that's you should be worried about.
Not at all. It's it's like you want to be if you've got a Mind Flayer as like a sidekick villain, it's you're fighting against an Elder Brain, something that's actually intimidating because. You're not, again, it's a CR9A monster and it's a spellcaster of that. It's not going to be intimidating for long. 71 hit points, I know players who can dish out 100 damage per turn. And, okay, he's gone, he's dead. This creature that is so iconic is already, like, kind of finished. Yeah,
and the last thing you want is the excitement of coming across this thing that's iconic and then it actually falling flat immediately. Okay, last question then. I think this might be quite a difficult one for you. All right. Okay. What's your least favourite enemy in D&D?
So just completely separate away from Mind Flayer.
Yeah, so it could be to run as a DM, or it could be as a player what you dislike.
God, that is a really tricky one. Tough.
Just in your head, and I thought this would be a tough one. I feel like you like most creatures, most monsters, most enemies.
I think for me, I'm going to come with a controversial take. So many of the really monstery monsters, or even some of the more recent humanoid stat blocks, have really cool mechanics built into them. This is a bit of a cop-out. I hate bandits.
Yeah, okay.
Bandits are boring. It's like, okay, here's a guy.
Done.
What do I do with that? Like, I guess it's a good filler stat block, but if I'm a player and I'm in a campaign or a one-shot, or I'm in a space where I'm at the whims of the creativity of the DM, and I'm fighting a man, I'm always going to be like, God, there's like 40 other, there's how many
hundreds.
pages in this damn book, and you were like, I think they should fight dudes.
Yeah.
No, and whenever I'm reading pre-written adventures where it's like, this room's full of scouts, this room's full of mercenaries, I'm like, couldn't it be full of imps? Couldn't it have
Sturges?
Couldn't it have a sturge? Mephits? Couldn't it have a
Zorn? The young man's sturge.
A young man's sturge, the mephit.
The mephit.
I'm always more interested in that because it's like a little guy, it's a creature, and there are mechanics built in. Like, one of my favorite, I'm literally not answering your question by going,
You're not.
Okay, so the answer to the question is, I hate bandits. They suck, they're boring. What I love is a very low CR monster. The giant ox from Big Bees has a great trample thing. And the moment that you have like a monster that can do something to the environment or the terrain, or put a character in a different position, I love Eladrin for their ability to like charm characters. That's never not hilarious to roleplay through. what I love to do is build an encounter around a monster's mechanics built in.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
if you're fighting this giant ox that can knock you prone, being knocked prone should be a bad thing in this
Yeah.
space. Is the mud really sticky underground and means that actually getting up from prone isn't just 15 feet of movement, you've got to succeed on an athletics check. And that's never going to happen with bandits. The worst thing that you'll run into with a bandit is, oh, they've got pack tactics.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, like...
And arguably, I think most people, if they're seasoned, kind of use them to just be like, let's show the players that they've come a long way, that they can just cut through these.
Exactly.
It's just something to remind them that they've come far, rather than this should be a challenge. Like, for who?
No, it's maybe a good first encounter for newbies. So maybe this is actually really good advice for a new DM, is if you're running a one-shot for new players and you yourself aren't comfortable, rely on the trusty bandit.
Yeah.
It's a boring thing, but it can be flavored in a lot of different ways and is easy to learn compared to trying to build encounters around more complex monsters. Where you can really, if a new player doesn't know what prone is, you can really upset them by being like, no, you can't stand up.
Yeah, 100%. There's it's not actually written on the plans for the topics of this season. Obviously, it's an enemy season, but going into you talking about that ox and its trample kind of ability, we will do a topic on lairs, because lairs are a completely forgotten kind of bit of information on a monster manual and for stat blocks, and they are arguably, to me, just as good as abilities for enemies.
100%. I'm also going to one up you here. Regional effects.
Oh,
when
yeah,
a monster
yeah,
has a
yeah.
regional effect, like your Aboleth, like your dragons. Oh, it adds some
We'll do
great
it.
flavour
We'll
to
do
the
the
world.
episode.
It
We'll do the
does.
episode.
Please, yes, I
Yeah.
want to talk about environments so badly.
We have done environments, but we haven't done the environments based on an enemy.
Get me in there.
We'll sort it. We'll sort
It's
it.
beautiful. It's a
Okay,
beautiful space to play.
today's adventure has sadly come to a close. We're back in next week with the topic: how old is too old to take candy from a baby?
Ooh, never.
There we go. He's persistent. And as always, thank you for tuning in. And if you'd like to join in on the D&D action, please follow us on Instagram at HousePlayDND, or check out the link in our bio to join our Discord server. I've been Connor Kinsey.
I've been Sam Pei.
Good day.